Hello, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Spiritual Scientist. I'm Victor Hamza. Thanks for checking me out. So, get right into it. Here's a couple unique things that just came across, thought I'd share. Herons, the bird, you know what a heron is. A heron has now they can catch fish using bait. So they basically are almost using tools. Herons is such a Herons, such as the great blue heron, are quite skillful in catching fish. Their method is rather, it says, simple. Yeah, right. Usually they stay motionless down shallow water. When a fish comes by, they go out with a long neck and a fish is seized. The heron moves around slowly, but mostly just stands still and wait. Now, here's something now. These are starting to get posted from being 2010, and herons now use natural and artificial bait. Living creatures that they drop include flies, ants and dragonflies, and spiders and earthworms. The herons has also tried dropping tiny objects in the front of the fish that show up. They have tried dropping small seeds, bits of grass, short twigs, bits of styrofoam, or natural downy plant material. That is, they drop something on the water and the fish moves in. That fish then will quite likely be eaten by the heron. So now we have a new modality here for these herons to catch fish using bait, which is crazy. And of course, we had the monkeys that were one was catching fish using spears because they saw men using spears. That was that's what they said, and they were catching fish with spears, like standing up on the shore, like on a tree limb, and stabbing down. And then we had this these kind of weird apes that now mimic speech by being able to sign language. So that was pretty weird. Wouldn't surprise me if all of a sudden they figure out how to talk to dolphins. I think that's coming up. So kind of interesting. The other things I came across, just to share really briefly, Dick Van Dyke, I believe he's still alive, which is crazy. Ron Jeremy, the porn star, is still alive again, because I remember him dying. Now he's alive. Is Mel Brooks alive? That's crazy. I think Mel Brooks might be alive now. There was a couple other characters. I think Don Rickles still is dead, but I've been seeing these celebrities that you know are dead, and then all of a sudden you hear that they're alive, which is pretty interesting. The other thing that I came across was these leaves from a tree that look like hummingbirds. So now, when the leaves look like hummingbirds, now I had somebody comment that they hated when I Googled stuff. Yeah, it's right here. So these I'm trying to make it so you can see it. So these leaves look exactly like hummingbirds. We've seen these kind of things, pop up before, but now you could see. Now you could see them, better. So these leaves now look like hummingbirds, which is pretty wild, right? Like, interesting. You get used to this stuff, right? The other thing thought I'd mention, and I don't know any other way around it, but I wanted to talk about it. So I talk about a lot about on and I've done a video about it before, about meditation and breathing through your nose. And I was thinking a lot about it and doing a lot of swimming over vacation and over spring and summer. Summer's almost over, which totally sucks. But so swimming, and I was thinking about how I can incorporate both the meditation and swimming together. And I always had this idea about swimming underwater, which would be super cool. So I was swimming and doing a lot of laps every day, and turned out I basically concentrate on it, and concentrated, and we thought, thinking about it, and the nose changed, your inside the nostril. I know that was being Mandela affected, so the nostril pathways changed a little bit inside. And now upgrade is you could swim, which is really cool. I'm doing the breaststroke, and you don't have to breathe through your mouth. So you just kind of breathe through your nose. And I was thinking about how it's like swimming like a whale. And once you get into it and you get the rhythm of it, it takes a conscious effort. Once you get into that, it's super cool, and it's very very meditative and very calming. So when I swim, I'm doing the breaststroke, and when I'm doing that, I'm just breathing through my nose the entire time. Like today I did 1,500 meters plus, and at one time, and just doing it, just breathing through my nose, which was really cool. It takes a little practice to not get water, in there in any way. But once you get the hang of it, and kind of get into a rhythm, and then empty your mind of thoughts, it's awesome. And then you continue breathing, and then once you get, what I'm trying to do is, build up my stamina, my muscles, my heart rate, control my breathing, my breath, learn to hold your breath for longer. So once you get into that, it's super cool. And so you could call that Hamsa swimming. What I was thinking about, the name would be soul swimming, because I'm not saying I'm inventing it, but I think the Mandela effect, went a certain way, where now we have the ability to swim, underwater, which is an upgrade. So you could swim breathing. You breathe on a stroke, but I'm like half the time I'm underwater, half the time I'm above the water, and it's super cool. And then when you just come above the water, when you come and you take a breath, you could get water in your mouth. It's just messy. It's a whole thing. But when you come up and you just do your nose, and then you're underwater, and you just like I'm thinking like my nose is like a blowhole, like a whale or a dolphin. It's super cool. Is the nose going to morph in the back of my neck? No, that's not what I'm talking about. Not yet anyway, right? No, I don't think that's going to happen. What I'm saying is, now it's an ability. I think that before, I've been swimming, my whole life, and I never saw anybody just swim just breathing through their nose. And once you do that, it changes the whole dynamic. It really does. It's like you're swimming, and you feel more at one with the water, and then it's like you could spend more time like concentrating on being underwater than above the water, and learning. It's all about your breathing. So that's super cool. So I thought about talk about the cool stuff like that. Like that. That's basically like an upgrade. Like your heart was moved. That was an upgrade. The lungs, changed. I think, I know the lungs are smaller, but I think maybe something happened with the lungs. So that's how come we don't need our lungs to be so large anymore, or maybe with the oxygen in the atmosphere itself. The other thing I came across, it was always like your body was always 74% water. And that's the way, and they said the earth was 74% water. Everything was 74% water. I think the last thing what is it now? It was always 74% water, right? Now, and it changed, and I just want to see if it changed back. Percentage of water in the human body. Let's see what it says. 60. It was always 74%. Always. 74%. 60%. The average adult human body is 50 to 60% water. Averaging 57 to 60%. That's crazy, right? The percentage of water in infants is much higher, typically around 75 to 78%. So they're saying that kids have 75, 78% water, dropping to 65 by 1 year of body age. Now, everybody was always 74%. It wasn't like you had more water when you were little and then less water when your body was different. Body composition varies according to gender and fitness levels because fatty tissues contain less water than lean tissue. Well, that would make sense, but it was always, 74%. Like, I don't even had to, think about it. The other thing was with the human body was the average height for a male was, for U.S., and I memorized all the actuary tables, okay? So it was 5'10" and a half, now it's 5'9" and a half, and all the body weights averages changed, and everybody shrunk, which I've talked about before, which is, very interesting. Wow. Adult males 60%, adult females 55%, children 75%, and infants are 75. Children are 65, infants are 75%. That's crazy. That's crazy. It was always 74% because they said the earth matched at 74%. So let's see, how much percentage of water on the planet? Let's see what the planet is right now. %. So it went from 73, 74% to 71%. So as the water's evaporating from the planet, the water's evaporating from us as well. It seems like as the planet gets hotter. 71% of the Earth's surface is water covered, and the oceans hold about 96.5% of all Earth's water. Water also exists in the air as water vapor. No kidding. Okay, so now we're 73% before, now we're 71%. I also mentioned before how the atmosphere used to be 75 miles from the surface of the Earth to space, and now it's about 35 miles. So our atmosphere is half. Atmosphere from surface to space. Let's see what it is today. Atmosphere layers are no distinct boundary between the atmosphere and space, but an imaginary line of 62 miles, okay, right, from the surface, called the Kármán line, is usually where scientists say atmosphere. It wasn't 62 miles, it was 75 miles. I had 30 wrong, but it was always 75 miles. And as everybody's going to chime in on this, they're going to say, and now there's some kind of atmosphere that goes all the way up to the moon. Yeah, I talked about that in the last one before, which was very different. And just wanted to talk about that a little bit. They've also just discovered a black hole black hole that was like more massive than whatever they thought could happen before, which was very interesting. And a lot of changes we have. There's a hurricane, Dorian, that's that was hitting the Bahamas. It was category 3, then category 4. Then was going to go different places. So that's been interesting to watch a little bit. Anyway, just thought I'd talk about recent updates and things I've seen. Anyway, thanks so much for checking this out. I'll do a quick one. Anything you want to say in the comments, I'd love to hear what you have. Thought I'd talk about what I'm going to call them as upgrades, what I noticed with swimming. And thanks so much. Like, subscribe, share. Peace out. Love you. Bye.